I'm going for a walk along the lane where I live. When I say it's just seconds from our front door, that's not an exaggeration. As always, got my binoculars with me. I think the great outdoors, you can never ever underestimate the value of it on your mental health. Whether you live in a town, you've got a park perhaps, or like me, you live in a great place like this where you've got real countryside on your doorstep. It's just wonderful, isn't it, to get out there and to take in, as I do, the wonderful world of nature. And I'm up here all the while. It's great, and wonder what I'll see today. I'll tell you what, if I don't see anything special, inverted commas, I'll still enjoy it. A bit like fishing, isn't it? Even if you don't catch a monster perch, roach or barbel, sometimes you don't catch anything, you can still enjoy it. We also have a golf course as well on the western slope. Gives you an idea of just how big the valley is, which I think even people who live here sometimes don't always appreciate the size of it. People walk over this every day and probably don't realise that it's an old mine cap. On the eastern slope where I am now, there were 4 collieries that worked coal right up until the 1950s. One of the many side brooks that feeds Bob's Brook, which by the way isn't named after Bob as in a person, but rather it's an old mining term. So again, the history of the valley coming through. This is the aforementioned brook, quite overgrown in this particular spot.